Welcome to Jamestown Talks, where community meets conversation. Each episode, we sit down with local leaders, doers, and decision makers who are helping shape the future of our town. From public safety and planning to parks and partnerships, we're covering the topics that matter most to Jamestown's residents. Whether you're curious about how town services work, want to meet the people behind the scenes, or just love staying in the loop, this is your front row seat to all things Jamestown. Let's talk about what makes our town thrive. Let's talk Jamestown. Today on Jamestown Talks, we're joined by members of the Jamestown Rotary Club, an organization rooted in service, fellowship, and a deep commitment to our community. For decades, Rotary has helped shape the heart of Jamestown through projects, partnerships, and people who lead by example. We're excited to hear more about their mission, their impact, and how they continue to live out the motto, service above self.
Well, can you both introduce yourselves?
Sure. I'm Jeff Swan. That's Jeff with a G and two F's, and Swan with one N. I moved here into High Point, actually. I must confess, I'm not a citizen of Jamestown. Hopefully that won't be too much of a problem. I came here from Austin, Texas, where I worked for Motorola, to work for what was then RFMD. It's now Corvo. And don't ask me what Corvo means, because I don't think anybody has any idea. My introduction to Jamestown was through a gentleman by the name of Fred Kelly, which you may have heard of. He's since passed, God rest his soul. And he was a member of Newcomers back then in 2003. And it's a group of people that were one time newcomers to Jamestown. Some of them had been in the club for like 10 or 15 years, so they were really not newcomers anymore, but I was. And we found Fred and his wife Jean, and became members of that club, and he introduced me to Rotary. So that was back in 2010. As you can probably tell, I ain't from around here. I'm not from Austin, Texas either, but I worked for IBM, International Business Machine, also known as I've Been Moved, and we moved a lot, and that was part of the deal. I came over from the UK in 1965 on a 3-month temporary assignment to find out there's nothing so permanent as a temporary assignment. So it's been a lot of moves with IBM and Motorola since then, and I think we're here to stay. We live in High Point, but we associate with Jamestown. Sorry, the realtor didn't show us any houses in Jamestown when she was showing us around, so I'm not sure why, but we enjoy where we are and what we do with Rotary in Jamestown. So,
my name is Cliff Paddock. I moved to Jamestown 21 years ago from Florida. I'm a Florida native, but was very happy to get to Jamestown. We really enjoyed living here and have no plans to live anywhere else. I came here because I was working for a woodworking tool company in High Point. I still do some consulting work for that company, but I also became a North Carolina general contractor. Did that for about 10 years, retired from that a couple of years ago. So I'm sort of semi-retired now. Been a member of the Jamestown Rotary Club for about 10 years now.
And then what are you guys' roles in the Rotary Club? Are you just general members, or?
Well, we've both been president of the club. We're both past presidents. I guess I've had that role twice now, as a matter of fact. I think we're both on the board of the club. I serve as the Christmas Parade chairman. This will be my 9th year as Christmas Parade chairman.
You're doing such a good job.
Jeff, you have other roles too.
Yeah, I'm currently secretary and will be secretary in the upcoming year. And we just finished a very successful golf tournament, which is now our 5th annual. So that is producing funds for Feeding Lisa's Kids, which is run by Lisa Hawley just down the road here. So,
and Jeff was chairman of that event,
yeah.
By the way.
Can you guys explain the mission of the Rotary Club a little more?
Do you want me to take that, Jeff?
Yeah.
Okay, well, one of the mottos of Rotary is service above self. And I always think of it primarily as a service organization. It has other functions as well, but I think our club, at least, the primary focus is on service to the community. As Jeff mentioned, we have fundraising events like the golf tournament and the horse show, which are to support local nonprofits and local charities. Kind of a focus on feeding people as much as anything. We do the Christmas parade, as we mentioned, which is a service, we think, to the community. But in addition to that, it's also a very kind of a social organization to be a member of. It's not exclusively service. We have a lot of fun and fellowship and do a lot of activities. Jeff, what would you add to that?
So I've forgotten about service above self. Our 4-way test talks about, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Feeling for your fellow man or woman, and making sure what you do is of benefit to the community.
Can you guys go into some more detail about the events you mentioned, like the Christmas parade and the golf tournament?
Well, Jeff, why don't you take the golf tournament?
A lot of people play golf. We have a golf course that works with us through the town to put on that tournament. Its original intent, I think the first 3 or 4 was to exclusively Feeding Lisa's Kids, because that if you go around distributing food once a month to the families that are in need, it will touch your heart, and you will want to support the golf tournament in some way or other. We go to local companies, local being basically anywhere in the area, to be whole sponsors, or to be at a higher level for sponsoring a group of people to go play. And we go to golfers that we know and say, why don't you put a team together and come out and play? And we charge them a little more than they otherwise would if they were just playing golf. But the people, I think, support the notion that what they're doing is going towards a good cause, and it's a worthy thing, and they get to play golf as part of that. So that's where the money goes, and people can sponsor holes, people can sponsor a team, and it's all going to the same place and being of use in the community.
Well, you asked about the Christmas parade. That's, again, sort of been my baby for going on 9 years now. We have a joke in the club, Jeff and I and others, that these things all just run themselves. That's what we're always told by our membership. But they don't quite run themselves. We start planning the Christmas parade in August when it doesn't feel at all Christmassy. But we meet monthly. We do a lot as a town with a lot of support from the town. We do mailings to old entries and any new possible entries we can find. We spend a lot of time on the phone and doing email back and forth, getting people to sign up and trying to get people to respect the deadlines. But it's always a lot of fun too. That's always my favorite thing of the year, is putting that parade together and seeing it actually happen. We usually have between 80 and 100 entries. 100 is really about the most we can handle. But we usually fall in that range somewhere. And, of course, those of you that have been there before, I mean, it's a big mix of bands and floats and Cub Scouts and people with antique cars. And we think we get a nice mixture. And it takes a lot of organization, but the people in the club have been doing it for this will be the 23rd year that the Rotary Club has done it. I think there were other organizations had that parade prior to our Rotary Club taking it on. And, you know, we need a lot of help from the community, though, too. It's not just us. We get volunteers from every organization that we can think of. And this year, we had about a dozen kids from Ragsdale High School that needed service hours that signed up and helped us. And so we always look for help that way, believe me. We're happy to hear from people that might want to help us with that event, because we're a small group and we need other people out there. And then we have other events too, as you probably know. We have sponsored a horse show for, I think we're getting close to 60 years now on the horse show. Just about as long as there's been a Jamestown Rotary Club. They've had a horse show long before our time there. It used to be held right here at the Jamestown Elementary School campus. It's now at the Piedmont Saddle Club off State Road 68. That's another really good fundraiser for us. That supports a lot of other nonprofit organizations around here, probably 10 or 12 different groups. And that one takes a lot of effort too. So we're always happy to have more volunteers come on board.
You mentioned, all these amazing things you're doing. How many current club members do you have helping you with these projects?
I think we have a total of 20 right now, which is, we always seem to hover around that level. We'll get to 19, get to 21, but we could certainly use more than 20. If anyone's interested in membership out there, we would love to talk to them. But as I said, we get a lot of help from outside the club too. We have 2 or 3 people that help us with every event. They've never been able to join the club for one reason or another, but they're always there to help on a service day. And as I mentioned, for the Christmas parade, for example, the YMCA gives us volunteers and a lot of support. The Jamestown Business Association helps. The town of Jamestown provides, I think, their entire public works staff on the day of the parade. And we get volunteers from elsewhere from the high school. So we're not a big club, but we manage to draw in a lot of help from other organizations. And that's what allows us to do these things.
What are some of the benefits for someone to join the Jamestown Rotary Club besides all the work making these events happen?
Jeff, what do you say?
There's a benefit of fellowship, of realizing that what you're doing is benefiting other people than yourself. I've retired. Cliff has sort of retired because he likes to help people, and he'll build a deck for you if you want a deck built. But if you've worked for any number of years, there's a certain rhythm in your life when you go to work, you do your thing, and you come home. When you retire, that for a lot of people, that rhythm is not there. And Rotary will provide some sort of rhythm to your life in the fact that you go to a meeting once a week. You're working with a group of people that after a while you get to know really well. And it gives some meaning and direction to your life. You're not sitting at home saying, "Oh, what can I do next?" You know what you're going to do next, right? Cliff's going to be running a horse show here in October, and he'll need you. And if people won't point you out as being the one that doesn't do much, but if you're going to be a member of the club, then there's an expectation that you will do some work during that period of time. So I think it's work that's not work. Nobody is bugging you to get this done and to get that done. There'll be a subtle hint every once in a while, but not direct comments or comments directed at you if you're not pulling your weight. So I think Rotary provides that. It's a sort of work.
I think it also, for me at least, there's a lot of fellowship and social activities. We go to baseball games and basketball games. We have dinner together at our meeting once a week, which is a nice fellowship activity in itself. We do a lot of things that are kind of fun. We have, holiday get-togethers just among the group and spouses and so forth. And we also, as Jeff said, certainly for retirees, it's a great form of structure. But Rotary is not just a retired person's organization by any means. I mean, in our club, we have 2 active bank managers. Our outgoing president's a manager of a bank. Our newest member is a manager of another bank. So we're certainly very interested in younger people. We have a woman who's a financial planner, who's one of our stalwart members, I think you could say. So it's a good organization for people at work. We do meet in the evenings for dinner, so it's certainly not impossible for people with jobs to be members of Rotary Club by any means. So we're happy to have people of just about any description in the group. But again, it's, as Jeff said, it's work, it's structured, but it's also a lot of fun. We have a good time.
Besides dinner, what's a typical meeting like?
Well, like I said, we normally start with dinner. That lasts about half an hour. And then we go into our business meeting. Depending on what's happening right then, there may be decisions that the club has to make as a whole. There's organizational work that goes on. And then we normally have a speaker. We had a speaker this past week from a group called God's Pit Crew up in Virginia. They're kind of a disaster response organization. We've had speakers from just about every charitable organization around here. We had the athletic director of High Point University spoke to us a couple of weeks ago and brought their new basketball coach with him. So we've had some neat people come and talk to us. That's always kind of the highlight of the meeting, really, is the speaker.
That's cool. Well, what's the process for someone that's interested in becoming a member of the Jamestown Rotary Club?
Well, we try to make that pretty easy. If they will come and visit a meeting, normally we recommend that somebody attend at least 3 meetings just to kind of get to know us, come as a guest with us. It usually helps if someone in the group kind of invites them, although that's not mandatory at all. If they're interested, we have a website and an email address, they can reach out to us, and we'll have them come to several meetings, and so that they can get to know the group, see if they're comfortable with the group, and gives us a chance to get to know them. After that time, after 3 or 4 meetings, if they're interested in joining, there's a very simple application form, and that'll go to our board for approval. And, it's really not a complicated process. I mean, when I joined years ago, it's because I had been in the Jamestown Christmas Parade, and I was interested in it. And I contacted the guy who was parade chairman at that time, and he invited me, and I never got away. That's the way it works.
Wasn't your father-in-law in Rotary Club?
My father-in-law was, yes,
yeah.
Before that. That's right.
He was treasurer when I joined.
That's right.
I remember.
That's right.
Yeah.
Do you guys do any collaboration with outside Rotary clubs from other towns or cities nearby?
Yeah, we haven't done any projects lately that I can think of with another club, but there's certainly a lot of interaction. We're a member of a Rotary district that's kind of in this part of North Carolina. It has 48 clubs in it right now, and we attend events with those clubs, training sessions. They have district golf tournaments and district dinners and a district assembly and kind of a conference and convention. So we try to participate and support as much of that as we possibly can.
And then you said there's a website with all of you guys' information on it. Are there also any dues people have to pay to become members or any responsibilities? that they have to follow to become a member?
Dues are around $150 a quarter. And that's for the only alternate type of membership is one where you're not fully involved, but if you want to participate in a project, you can, and that's at a reduced rate. So we have a couple of members that fit into that category. So, but it's yeah, I mean, to me, it fits in the type of membership that includes a meal. To me, is the right kind of membership, but it doesn't fit everybody's lifestyle. And it's difficult if you have young children, for instance, right? And they come home from school. You want to be a part of that activity if you can, but it doesn't always work out that way. So if you're pulled by a Rotary Club that needs you or wants you, and you want to be a member of it, it doesn't work for everybody. So that makes a difference.
So for those people, they could consider what we call a service membership. Which, yeah. But that $150 a quarter, that does include a dinner every week. Yeah. So really not a whole lot of money for what you're getting, I think.
And then is there a requirement for a certain amount of meetings that you're supposed to attend once you become a member?
I don't think that's a real strict requirement now. At one time, Rotary, I understand, before my time in the organization, was very strict on attendance. And if you missed a meeting, you had to make one up somewhere. That's really not a requirement now. We certainly want people to attend, but as Jeff said, we understand that everybody has other commitments, and you're going to miss sometimes, and that's kind of understood. But we hope that people will attend at least twice a month. That's not a hard and fast requirement, but that's kind of the Rotary norm now, is try to attend at least 2 meetings a month.
What are your meetings scheduled for?
Tuesday evening at 5:30 at the Jamestown Park Golf Course at the clubhouse.
Do you guys have any personal favorite memories with the Rotary Club?
Go ahead, Jeff. I'm just waiting. Well, I'll throw mine. As I mentioned, I love the Christmas parade. So that's always, and I've had some really, really nice interactions with people at the Christmas parade and afterwards. And I have a lot of good memories of those. Working with Martin Sinnell, who's been chairman with me for years and years. Just have a lot of really fond memories of that. Hopefully we'll have more. not planning on leaving.
I'm not a horse person, right? And the horse show, on the day of the show, is full of horsey people, and there are some really interesting characters in that group. And being close to horses, I mean, I was never close to horses growing up, and a little nervous around them, but the horses that are in that show are so well trained, and the things they do, it's not all the horse, it's the person that's on the horse too, but to see them perform at the direction of somebody up in the booth who calls out, stop, turn around, go in another direction. It's the horses understand that, and the driver, I was going to say jockey too, they're not jockeys. The rider has a way of communicating that instruction to the horse, which is, to me, it's just magical to watch and to be a part of that. And it's an all-day affair. And if the weather's nice, and I don't think we've had a rain out in recent history, so maybe one, because if the ground gets too wet, it's not good for the horses. So it's fun to watch and participate in. So.
Why do you guys think it's important for organizations like the Rotary Club to exist and continue to exist in the future, and for people to join them?
I think camaraderie is a part of that. Having other people in your life that wouldn't otherwise be there, because that especially when you retire, your group, your work buddies are no longer there. So Rotary kind of serves as your work buddies, and it's a different environment than what you would otherwise have as a retiree. In that, if it's you and your wife and the kids have all gone, there's just the two of you doing what needs to be done, and the stimulation from having something to do that doesn't involve your immediate family is important, I think, to having a reasonable way of life, if you will.
Yeah, and I think the other side of that, we talked about service above self at the beginning, that motto. And I think, that's where Rotary is very important for the self, if you will. The service part, I think, is also extremely important. And I think that's where we need organizations to support the community. I think, I can talk about a Christmas parade, which is nice for the town to have, but there's a lot of organizations like the one we support through our golf tournament, Feeding Lisa's Kids. And we normally contribute about $10,000 every year to that organization, just as a result of our golf tournament. Well, without our 10,000 and the 10,000s that come from other organizations, maybe Feeding Lisa's Kids wouldn't exist. I don't know. And I think, so it's always going to be important to have service organizations, because there's always going to be a need out there, a big need for support. And without service clubs, I don't know where that support will come from. So yeah, I think that's going to be vital too. It's not just important to us, it's important to the community as a whole.
That was really well put. You mentioned you have a website. Do you guys also have any social media that people can keep track of what you guys are doing?
We are on Facebook.
And do you guys know what the handle of your Facebook is for people?
Of course not.
We'll link it on the
you may be asking the wrong people. The website is JamestownRotaryClub.com, which is pretty easy. Facebook, I'm not quite sure what the handle is for that. Probably, yes. So shouldn't be hard.
We'll link it with the episode so people can check you guys out and support all your events, and hopefully you'll get some new members.
We hope so. Well, thank you very much for your time and for the exposure. We appreciate this.